17 black actors currently rotting in jail. They sold millions of records. They ruled red carpets. They turned street corners into Billboard chart positions. But today, behind concrete walls and steel doors, 17 of the biggest black names in entertainment are serving sentences that will steal decades, sometimes lifetimes, away from them. One mogul lost everything after a single Manhattan verdict. One rapper sits in solitary confinement, still waiting for a trial after 7 long years. Another faces 105 years for a single violent night that erased his boxing career. From billionaires to viral stars, no level of fame protected them when the gavel finally dropped. Stay until the end, because some of these stories will leave you stunned. Welcome to Remembered Lives channel. Subscribe, ring the bell, and tell us in the comments which fall shocked you the most. Sean Diddy Combs. The most shocking downfall in modern hip-hop history unfolded inside a Manhattan federal courthouse on October 3, 2025. Sean Combs, the billionaire mogul once known as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and the architect of Bad Boy Records, was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison, 4 years and 2 months, for 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Federal Mann Act. The verdict ended one of the most explosive celebrity trials of the decade. Born November 4, 1969 in Harlem, New York, Combs built an empire spanning music, fashion, beverages, and television. He launched the careers of the Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, Mace, and 112. His Sean John fashion line earned him a CFDA award in 2004. Forbes once estimated his net worth above $900 million. Yet behind the glittering Met Gala appearances and platinum records, federal prosecutors painted a darker portrait, alleging a coordinated criminal enterprise spanning decades. Combs was arrested on September 16, 2024, at New York's Park Hyatt Hotel. The federal indictment included racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. After a 7-week trial beginning May 5, 2025, a Manhattan jury delivered a split verdict on July 2nd, acquitting Combs of the racketeering and sex trafficking charges, but convicting him on the 2 Mann Act counts involving ex-girlfriends, including Cassie Ventura. Judge Arun Subramanian fined Combs $500,000 and ordered 5 years of supervised release. He is currently held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn and requested transfer to FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey. With credit for time already served since September 2024, his projected release date falls in 2028. The man who once threw the most lavish parties in entertainment now faces the quietest years of his life. R. Kelly. The voice behind I Believe I Can Fly became one of the most disgraced figures in American music history through a fall that took nearly 3 decades to fully materialize. Robert Sylvester Kelly was born January 8, 1967 in Chicago, Illinois, and rose from busking on subway platforms to selling over 75 million records worldwide. He won 3 Grammy Awards in 1998 alone and helped shape contemporary R&B with hits like Bump and Grind, Ignition, Remix, and Step in the Name of Love. But whispers of misconduct had followed him since the 1990s, including his illegal 1994 marriage to the late singer Aaliyah when she was just 15 years old. A 2008 child pornography trial in Chicago ended in acquittal. For years, accusations vanished into out-of-court settlements. Then came the 2019 Lifetime documentary Surviving R. Kelly, which detonated his career and triggered federal investigations across multiple jurisdictions. In September 2021, after a 6-week trial in Brooklyn, a federal jury convicted him on 9 counts, including racketeering and 8 violations of the Mann Act. On June 29, 2022, Judge Ann Donnelly handed down a 30-year sentence. A second federal trial in Chicago in September 2022 added 20 more years for child pornography, with 19 running concurrently, bringing his total to 31 years. Kelly is currently incarcerated at the Federal Correctional Institution in Butner, North Carolina, alongside notorious inmates like Bernie Madoff once was. His projected release date is December 24, 2045, when he will be 78 years old. In June 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear his appeal. That same month, his lawyers filed an emergency motion alleging prison officials had overdosed him on medication. The court denied his release. Behind bars, he remains one of music's most studied cautionary tales. Suge Knight. The most feared man in 1990s hip-hop spent decades dominating boardrooms and recording studios before a parking lot confrontation in Compton sealed his fate forever. Marion Hugh Knight Jr. was born April 19, 1965 in Compton, California, and built Death Row Records into the most powerful black-owned label of the era. Under his command, the company released NWA's solo offshoots, Dr. Dre's The Chronic, 1992, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, 1993, and Tupac Shakur's All Eyes on Me, 1996, generating hundreds of millions in revenue. But the empire was built on intimidation. Allegations of violence followed Knight throughout his career, from infamously dangling Vanilla Ice off a balcony to disputes that allegedly contributed to the unsolved 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur and the 1997 murder of the notorious B.I.G. Knight has never been charged in either case, but spent years in and out of prison on various probation violations. His final reckoning came on January 29, 2015, when he ran over two men with his pickup truck outside Tam's Burgers in Compton following a confrontation on the set of NWA biopic Straight Outta Compton. Clee Bones Sloan survived. Terry Carter, a respected music executive and friend, was killed. Knight claimed self-defense, arguing he was fleeing attackers. After years of delays, Knight accepted a plea deal in September 2018, admitting voluntary manslaughter. On October 4, 2018, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Ronald Cohn sentenced him to 28 years in California State Prison. He is currently housed at Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. His earliest possible parole date falls around 2037, when he will be in his early 70s. From hip-hop's biggest power broker to forgotten inmate, the transformation has been brutal and complete. YNW Melly. Few cases in modern rap have lingered as long or generated as much disbelief as the prosecution of Jamel Maurice Demons, the Florida rapper known professionally as YNW Melly. Born May 1, 1999 in Gifford, Florida, he rose to fame with his 2018 viral single, Murder on My Mind, a song whose lyrics would later haunt every courtroom appearance he made. By the time he was 19, his collaborations with Kanye West and the late Juice WRLD had placed him among the genre's most promising young voices. That promise shattered on October 26, 2018, when two of his closest friends, Anthony YNW Sackchaser Williams and Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., were found shot to death inside a vehicle in Miramar, Florida. Prosecutors allege Demons and co-defendant Cortland YNW Bortland Henry murdered the pair after a recording session, then staged the scene to resemble a drive-by shooting. Demons was arrested on February 13, 2019, and has remained behind bars at the Broward County Jail in Miramar ever since. His first trial in July 2023 ended in a mistrial after the jury deadlocked 9-3 in favor of conviction on lesser manslaughter charges. Prosecutors are still seeking the death penalty under Florida's non-unanimous capital punishment law. The retrial has been delayed multiple times and is now scheduled for January 2027. Co-defendant Cortland Henry accepted a plea deal in September 2025, receiving 10 years for accessory charges. In May 2025, Judge Martin Fine denied Demons' bond yet again. His defense attorneys, Drew Findling and Carrie Hawout, publicly condemned what they called dehumanizing conditions, including over 3 years in solitary confinement. As of 2026, Demons has spent more than 7 years awaiting verdict, with his fate still hanging entirely in legal limbo, technically presumed innocent, yet trapped indefinitely. Tay-K. Few stories illustrate the collision between viral fame and criminal consequence more starkly than that of Taymor McIntyre, the Long Beach-born rapper better known as Tay-K. Born June 16, 2000, and raised primarily in Texas, McIntyre achieved one of hip-hop's most disturbing paradoxes when his breakout hit The Race peaked at number 44 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2017, while he was literally a fugitive from law enforcement. His path into the criminal justice system began on July 26, 2016, when 16-year-old McIntyre and 4 accomplices forced their way into a home in Mansfield, Texas, killing 21-year-old Ethan Walker and wounding another resident. Placed on house arrest with an ankle monitor, he cut the device off in March 2017 and fled. While on the run, he recorded The Race, whose lyrics openly referenced his fugitive status. U.S. Marshals captured him in New Jersey in June 2017. In July 2019, a Texas jury convicted him of murder, sentencing him to 55 years in prison plus additional time for aggravated robbery, all running concurrently. The track, The Race, itself was submitted as evidence during the punishment phase. A second trial concluded on April 15, 2025, in Bexar County, Texas. McIntyre was found guilty of murdering 23-year-old photographer Mark Anthony Saldivar in April 2017 outside a San Antonio Chick-fil-A, where Saldivar had been lured under the pretense of a photo shoot. Judge Stephanie Boyd sentenced him to 80 years, running concurrent to his existing sentence. His ex-girlfriend Joanna Reyes testified against him, having accepted a plea deal as the getaway driver. McIntyre will not be parole eligible until approximately 2049, when he will be in his late 40s. His projected maximum release date, according to Texas prison records, sits chillingly at August 8, 2099. See Murder. Long before podcasts reopened cold cases and TikTok mobilized petitions, the trial of Corey Miller had already become one of the most contested wrongful conviction debates in Louisiana legal history. Born March 9, 1971 in New Orleans, Miller is the younger brother of hip-hop mogul Master P and the older brother of rapper Silk the Shocker. He found his own platinum success in 2000 with the single Down for My Ends and his album Trapped in Crime. His career ended on January 12, 2002, when 16-year-old Steve Thomas was shot and killed during an altercation at the Platinum Club in Harvey, Louisiana. Miller was charged with second-degree murder. After multiple trials, mistrials, and appeals stretching across nearly a decade, a Jefferson Parish jury convicted him on August 11, 2009. He was sentenced to mandatory life in prison without the possibility of parole under Louisiana law. The case became a flashpoint for criminal justice reform advocates. In 2018, 2 key witnesses, Kenneth Jordan and Darnell Jordan, publicly recanted their original testimonies, claiming detectives had coerced their statements. Despite affidavits and renewed media attention, multiple appeals have failed to overturn the conviction. Singer Monica and rapper Snoop Dogg have publicly campaigned for his release, with social media movements like #FreeCMurder gaining millions of supporters. Miller is currently incarcerated at the Elaine Hunt Correctional Center in St. Gabriel, Louisiana. Throughout his time behind bars, he has continued releasing albums recorded via prison phone, including Penitentiary Chances, 2013, and Ain't No Heaven in the Pen, 2015. He has also published a memoir and a children's book. In 2020, his attorneys filed for compassionate release, citing health concerns. The motion was denied. For now, he remains imprisoned for life, with every legal door closing behind him, one after another. Casanova. The Brooklyn rapper whose career had been climbing steadily through hard-edged tracks and major label backing, watched it all collapse the moment federal agents executed an indictment connected to one of New York's most violent street organizations. Caswell Sr. was born July 27, 1986, in East New York, Brooklyn, and signed with Roc Nation in 2017 after viral hits like Don't Run, 2016, and Set Trippin', 2017. He collaborated with Chris Brown, Tory Lanez, and Fabulous, performing at major festivals across North America. But on December 1, 2020, federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York indicted him, alongside 17 alleged members of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation, a violent set of the National Bloods gang. The 22-count indictment included racketeering conspiracy, drug trafficking, attempted murder, and obstruction of justice. Casanova turned himself in to FBI authorities on December 2, 2020. In January 2022, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts: racketeering conspiracy and narcotics conspiracy. Prosecutors documented his role in a July 2020 shooting outside a Miami restaurant, his participation in an armed robbery in Pennsylvania, and the distribution of more than 100 kilograms of marijuana through his network. On June 6, 2023, U.S. District Judge Philip M. Halpern sentenced him to 188 months in federal prison, equivalent to 15 years and 8 months, followed by 5 years of supervised release. Senior expressed remorse during his sentencing, telling the court he wanted to be a positive role model for young people. He is currently serving his sentence at a federal facility, with credit for time already served since his December 2020 surrender. His projected release date falls around 2034 if he receives standard federal good time credits, though some estimates push it to 2038. Either way, the bulk of his potentially prime music years will be spent behind concrete walls. Fetty Wap. The man who turned a melodic mumble and one squinted eye into a Billboard takeover saw his entire career collapse, not because his music faded, but because federal agents linked him to a multi-state cocaine pipeline. Willie Jr. Maxwell II was born June 7, 1991 in Paterson, New Jersey, and lost vision in his left eye as an infant due to congenital glaucoma. By 2015, he had made history as one of only a handful of male rappers to chart 5 concurrent singles on the Billboard Hot 100, including Trap Queen, 679, My Way, and Again. Trap Queen alone peaked at number 2, sold over 6 million copies in the United States, and earned 2 Grammy nominations in 2016 for Best Rap Performance and Best Rap/Sung Collaboration. His self-titled debut album reached number 1 on the Billboard 200. For a brief moment, his New Jersey hometown felt like the new capital of hip-hop. The downfall began on October 28, 2021, when federal agents arrested him at Citi Field Stadium in New York during the Rolling Loud Festival. Prosecutors charged him as a key player in a conspiracy that allegedly trafficked more than 100 kilograms of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack from the West Coast to New Jersey and Long Island between June 2019 and June 2020. In August 2022, Maxwell pleaded guilty in federal court to conspiracy to distribute controlled substances. On May 24, 2023, U.S. District Judge Joseph F. Bianco sentenced him to 6 years in federal prison, plus 5 years of supervised release. He is currently incarcerated at FCI Allenwood in Pennsylvania. According to Bureau of Prisons records, his projected release date is March 13, 2027. His daughter Lauren tragically passed away in 2021, an additional heartbreak in a story already saturated with loss. Tory Lanez. Canadian-born rapper Daystar Peterson, professionally known as Tory Lanez, watched a single night in the Hollywood Hills erase a career he had spent over a decade meticulously constructing. Born July 27, 1992 in Brampton, Ontario, he relocated to the United States and built his name through mixtape series including Sincerely Tory and Cruel Intentions. His 2016 debut album, I Told You, produced the platinum-certified single Say It, which peaked at number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100. By July 12, 2020, He was a chart regular, collaborating with Drake, Chris Brown, and Bryson Tiller. That night, after leaving a party at Kylie Jenner's Hollywood Hills home, an altercation occurred inside a moving SUV. Houston rapper Megan Thee Stallion was shot in both feet and required surgery. Initially silent about the shooter's identity, Megan publicly named Peterson weeks later, alleging he fired the weapon while shouting, "Dance, bitch." The trial began in December 2022 in Los Angeles. On December 23, 2022, a jury convicted Peterson on 3 felony charges: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge David Hereford sentenced him on August 8, 2023 to 10 years in California State Prison. Peterson is currently held at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, California. On May 12, 2025, he was attacked inside the facility and stabbed 14 times in a brutal assault that punctured a lung. He survived after emergency surgery. His legal team continues pursuing appeals while maintaining his innocence. Megan Thee Stallion, meanwhile, has gone on to win Grammy Awards and headline global tours, publicly advocating for victims of intimate partner violence and refusing to let one night define the rest of her career. Max B. Few hip-hop figures inspired more devotion from underground tastemakers, or more silence from the mainstream, than Charlie Wingate, the Harlem rapper known as Max B. Born May 21, 1978, he became one of the most influential mixtape voices of the late 2000s, mentoring a young Kanye West admirer named French Montana, and pioneering the melodic sing-rap style that artists like Wiz Khalifa and Lil Wayne would later commercialize. His wavy aesthetic became its own subculture. Tragedy struck on September 21, 2006, when 30-year-old Alan Plowden was shot and killed inside a Holiday Inn in Fort Lee, New Jersey, during a robbery orchestrated by Wingate's then-girlfriend, Gina Conway. Prosecutors alleged Wingate masterminded the plan, despite the fact that he was not present at the scene. He was arrested days later. In May 2009, a Bergen County jury convicted Wingate on multiple counts, including felony murder, attempted murder, robbery, and conspiracy. New Jersey Superior Court Judge Donald R. Venezia sentenced him to 75 years in state prison. The sentence stunned the hip-hop community, with many critics arguing the punishment was disproportionate given Wingate's distance from the actual shooting. In 2016, after years of appellate work led by attorney Charles Coleman Jr., Wingate accepted a revised plea deal, reducing his sentence to 20 years. He continues to record music from inside New Jersey State Prison, releasing collaborative projects with French Montana, including the 2017 album Coke Wave 4, entirely through phone calls and verses smuggled through legal channels. Wingate is currently incarcerated at Southwood State Prison in Bridgeton, New Jersey. His projected release date sits around 2027, when he will be approaching 50 years old. Few rappers have remained culturally relevant from inside a cell, quite like Max B, whose legend grows louder the longer he stays silent. Big Meech. Few American crime stories have crossed so completely into hip-hop folklore as that of Demetrius Edward Flannery, the Detroit native whose drug empire spawned a Starz original series produced by 50 Cent. Born June 21, 1968 in Cleveland, Ohio, and raised in Detroit, Michigan, Flannery and his younger brother, Terry Southwest T. Flannery, founded the Black Mafia family, commonly known as BMF, in the late 1980s. What began as small-scale cocaine sales in Detroit grew into one of the largest narcotics trafficking organizations in modern American history. By the early 2000s, BMF moved hundreds of kilograms of cocaine across 11 U.S. states, generating reported revenues exceeding $270 million. Flannery funneled profits into a music label called BMF Entertainment, signing Blue Da Vinci and throwing legendary Atlanta parties attended by Jay-Z, Diddy, and Young Jeezy. The federal indictment dropped in 2005, charging Flannery, his brother, and over 30 associates with cocaine trafficking and money laundering. In September 2008, U.S. District Judge Avern Cohn sentenced Demetrius Flannery to 30 years in federal prison. His brother received the same sentence. After serving more than 16 years across multiple federal institutions, Flannery was transferred in October 2024 to a residential re-entry program in Miami, Florida. According to Bureau of Prisons records, his official release date is January 27, 2026, when he will officially complete his federal sentence. The Starz television series BMF, which premiered in September 2021 and is executive produced by 50 Cent and Flannery's son Demetrius Jr., who plays his father, has reignited public interest in the family's story. With less than a year before full release, anticipation surrounds what Big Meech will choose to do next: business, entertainment, or quiet retirement away from the lifestyle that defined his rise and fall. Clifford "Black Rhino" Etienne. The journey of Clifford Etienne from prison cell to professional boxing arena and then back again to a sentence that nearly defies comprehension ranks among the most heartbreaking trajectories in American sports history. Born February 9, 1971 in New Iberia, Louisiana, Etienne grew up in poverty and was sentenced to 10 years in Angola State Penitentiary as a teenager for armed robbery. While incarcerated, he discovered boxing and became a dominant amateur. Released in 1998, he turned professional and quickly built a 24-fight win streak with 16 knockouts, earning his nickname the Black Rhino for his aggressive, charging style. He fought on the undercard of major pay-per-view events and earned a national reputation. His biggest moment came on February 22, 2003, in Memphis, Tennessee, when he faced former undisputed heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Tyson knocked him out in just 49 seconds of the first round. The loss devastated Etienne's career trajectory, though many remembered the famous tribal tattoo Tyson had freshly inked on his face for the bout. Etienne's life unraveled rapidly after the Tyson fight. On January 14, 2005, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, he committed a violent crime spree that included carjacking, kidnapping a woman, robbing a convenience store, and shooting at police officers during a chase. Mercifully, no one died. He pleaded guilty in 2006 to multiple counts, including attempted first-degree murder of a police officer. Judge Richard Anderson initially sentenced him to 160 years in prison. On appeal, the sentence was reduced to 105 years. He is currently incarcerated at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. He has taken up oil painting behind bars, and several of his canvases have been exhibited outside prison walls. He was reportedly attacked in 2015 and transferred for safety. He will almost certainly die incarcerated. Daryl Henley. The fall of a former Los Angeles Rams cornerback into one of the most disturbing criminal conspiracies ever to involve a professional athlete remains a sobering reminder that fame offers no immunity from devastating choices. Daryl Keith Henley was born October 30, 1966, in Los Angeles, California, and excelled both academically and athletically at UCLA, where he earned a degree in political science before being drafted by the Los Angeles Rams in the second round of the 1989 NFL Draft. He played 5 seasons in the NFL from 1989 to 1994, recording 14 career interceptions. Coaches praised him as cerebral, disciplined, and articulate, often citing him as a model professional. None of that suggested the criminal scheme prosecutors would later unravel. In July 1993, federal agents arrested Henley alongside an exotic dancer named Tracy Donahoe and several accomplices for attempting to traffic 12 kilograms of cocaine from Los Angeles to Memphis, Tennessee, through commercial airlines. Henley vehemently denied involvement, claiming he had been framed. After a high-profile trial in 1995, a federal jury convicted him on multiple drug trafficking charges. Judge Gary L. Taylor sentenced him to 20 years. The story took a darker turn while Henley was in custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. He attempted to orchestrate the murders of the federal judge presiding over his case and a key witness, paying undercover agents posing as hitmen. He was convicted of these additional charges in 1996, and in 1997, his cumulative sentence was raised to 41 years in federal prison. Henley is currently held at a federal facility, where he has earned a reputation as a writer and prison reform advocate. He has written extensively about his case and criminal justice systems. His projected release date is in the 2030s, decades removed from the football fields where he once briefly shined. Lil Reese. The Chicago drill scene that exploded in the early 2000s produced a small handful of artists who became synonymous with both raw authenticity and ongoing legal turbulence. Tavares Taylor, born January 6, 1993 in Chicago, Illinois, emerged as one of those defining voices. Known professionally as Lil Reese, he found his break alongside childhood friends Chief Keef and Lil Durk, signing with Def Jam in 2012 as part of the influential GBE, Glow Gang/Glory Boys Entertainment collective. His breakout hit, Us, 2012, reached the Billboard Hot Rap Songs chart, and his collaboration with Keef on I Don't Like became a defining moment for the drill sound that would influence hip-hop globally. His mixtapes Don't Like and Super Savage earned cult followings. Yet across his career, Taylor's headlines have alternated between music releases and survival. He has survived multiple shootings, including a near-fatal incident on November 10, 2019, when he was shot in the neck during a vehicle confrontation in Chicago. In May 2021, he was shot in the eye during another altercation, losing partial vision permanently. Each time, he returned to recording, viewing his survival as both blessing and burden. The legal moment that finally took him off the streets came in late 2024. Taylor was arrested in Texas after an incident involving an aggravated assault charge connected to a family member. On October 16, 2024, he pleaded guilty in a Texas state court. The judge sentenced him to 5 years in state prison. According to Texas Department of Criminal Justice records, Taylor is eligible for parole consideration in August 2026. His projected maximum release date, if he serves the full sentence, falls on February 6, 2029. Either outcome will pause his music career during years that many rappers consider creatively defining, leaving fans to wait. Dante Mitchell. The story of Dante Mitchell offers one of the most complicated portraits of redemption and recidivism in modern criminal justice discussions. Born in 1980 in Albany, New York, Mitchell grew up in neighborhoods scarred by poverty and limited opportunity. By his early 20s, he was already deeply involved in street crime. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, he was convicted on multiple robbery charges and sentenced to decades behind bars. But during his incarceration, Mitchell underwent a documented transformation. He became an outspoken advocate for anti-violence work, mentored younger inmates, corresponded with at-risk youth from his cell, and partnered with prison reform organizations across New York State. His story gained traction with reform advocates and lawmakers who held him up as proof that meaningful change was possible. In late 2021, then-Governor Andrew Cuomo granted Mitchell clemency, commuting his sentence and allowing him to return to society. Mitchell wasted no time. He began speaking at schools, community centers, and policy forums, telling young men that the choices he had made were not worth a lifetime of regret. Then, in August 2023, his name reappeared in headlines for the worst possible reason. Mitchell was arrested in Albany following a shootout that left others injured. Prosecutors alleged he had used a firearm during the incident. The case went to trial in December 2024. A jury reached a split verdict, acquitting him of attempted murder, but convicting him on criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. On March 3, 2025, Albany County Court Judge Roger McDonough sentenced him to 15 years in state prison. The ruling devastated his supporters and reignited debates about clemency, recidivism, and how communities should respond when second chances do not produce the outcomes society hopes for. Mitchell will be in his late 50s by his earliest release date. Mystikal. The Louisiana rapper whose explosive vocal delivery defined Cash Money and No Limit Records' golden era has lived through one of the most turbulent careers in Southern hip-hop history. Michael Lawrence Tyler was born September 22, 1970, in New Orleans, Louisiana. He served in the U.S. Army during Operation Desert Storm before returning home and breaking into music through No Limit Records under Master P, then later Jive Records. His 2000 album, Let's Get Ready, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and went double platinum, anchored by smash singles Shake Ya Ass and Danger, Been So Long. But in 2003, his career came to an abrupt halt. Tyler was convicted in Louisiana of sexual battery and extortion involving his former hairstylist. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in state prison, plus required sex offender registration. He served his full sentence and was released in January 2010, attempting a music comeback that produced minor hits but never recaptured his earlier momentum. In 2017, fresh charges emerged in Louisiana when he was indicted on first-degree rape allegations involving a separate incident. The case dragged through multiple delays and pretrial motions. Tyler spent over 18 months incarcerated awaiting trial, before posting a $3 million bond in February 2019. The trial finally concluded in April 2024. After deliberating, a Caddo Parish jury found Tyler not guilty on all 8 charges, including first-degree rape, second-degree kidnapping, and false imprisonment. Tyler wept openly in court and embraced his family upon the verdict. Although currently free, he remains required to register as a sex offender, stemming from the 2003 conviction. His legal history continues to follow his attempted music career, and his place on lists of rappers connected to incarceration remains permanent, regardless of his 2024 acquittal. A stark reminder of how convictions echo for life. Bobby Shmurda. The Brooklyn rapper whose 2014 dance move briefly conquered the entire internet became one of the defining case studies of how quickly a viral moment can intersect with a sweeping criminal indictment. Aquila Jean Pollard was born August 4, 1994 in Miami, Florida, and raised in East Flatbush, Brooklyn after his family relocated when he was a child. His viral single, Hot Nicka, released in July 2014, became one of the most replayed videos of that summer, with his iconic Shmoney dance inspiring imitations from Beyoncé, Rihanna, and millions of fans. The song peaked at #6 on the Billboard Hot 100, earned platinum certification, and resulted in Pollard signing a reported $2 million deal with Epic Records. He appeared on late-night talk shows and seemed poised for sustained mainstream stardom. That all collapsed on December 17, 2014, when New York City police arrested Pollard alongside 14 alleged members of a Brooklyn-based street crew called GS9. Prosecutors charged him with conspiracy to commit murder, weapons possession, and reckless endangerment. The investigation, led by the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, alleged GS9 was responsible for shootings and drug trafficking across the borough. In September 2016, Pollard accepted a plea deal, admitting to conspiracy and weapons possession. Judge Abraham Klott sentenced him to 7 years in state prison with credit for time served. Pollard served the remainder of his sentence at multiple New York facilities, including Clinton Correctional Facility. He was released on February 23, 2021, after serving approximately 6 years and 2 months total. Since release, Pollard has signed with Roc Nation Management, released new music, and given interviews reflecting on his time inside. While he is no longer incarcerated, his story remains one of the starkest cautionary tales about how federal and state RICO-style prosecutions can derail even the brightest emerging careers in modern hip-hop history. 17 stars. 17 falls from grace. Some lost their freedom to violence, others to greed, betrayal, or one catastrophic decision made under the lights of fame. A few may never breathe free air again. Others count the days toward a second chance that might never truly come. So now we want your honest opinion. Which of these sentences felt fair, and which felt heartbreakingly excessive? Do you believe the justice system treats black entertainers more harshly than their white counterparts in similar cases? Or do crimes simply demand consequences, regardless of who commits them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Remembered Lives channel, where the stars you grew up watching are never forgotten.